Well, hello from not so sunny Arizona. Kind of cloudy today. Hopefully we're going to get a little rain. It's been a pretty dry winter. I had an opportunity to spend about a year and a half in Iowa with the company I was working for. While I was there, I found a fast food joint that was called Hearty's. Now, we don't have those here in Arizona. We have their cousin, which is called Carl's Jr. They had an awesome breakfast menu. And on that menu was something called the loaded breakfast biscuit. It was basically a nice fluffy biscuit with an omelet, with egg, cheese, and several kinds of meat. Bacon, ham, and sausage. Well, I'm going to try and recreate that for you today. Wish me luck. I've got the coals heating up, and so we'll get those biscuits in a Dutch oven, and then we'll get the omelet cooking on top of our 2-burner. Well, while we're waiting on the coals to heat up, we're going to throw together our biscuits. So first I've got 4 cups of self-rising flour. In that I've got 3/4 of a cup of chopped up shortening. I'm using butter flavored Crisco, which is why it looks like butter. And to that we're going to add a tablespoon of baking powder and a tablespoon of sugar. What I want to do is get the shortening all incorporated in the flour so it comes out to be kind of a crumbly mix. You see how that's trying to clump together a little bit? This here's about where we want the flour to look once I've got that Crisco all incorporated in there. And now we're going to mix in the wet ingredient, which is 2 cups of cold buttermilk. Now, you never want to overmix biscuits, but just enough to get everything into a dough. Because once we have this mixed up to where we want it, I'm going to roll it out here on this cutting board to about 1 inch thick and cut our biscuits with a 3-inch biscuit cutter. When you're cutting these biscuits, try not to twist it. You don't want to seal off these edges so that the biscuits will rise correctly. Using a 12-inch Dutch oven, hopefully that'll be big enough for all of this dough. And I kind of want to crowd them a little bit so that they will grow up instead of out. So I can get one more in there maybe. There we go. It's kind of tight, but that ought to work. Since we're baking, I don't want to have a whole lot of heat underneath the Dutch oven here, but I'm going to have a lot more heat on top. And we can regulate that, of course, by putting on more or less coals on that top of this lid. And you notice this is a regular camp oven. It's got the 3 legs and a ridge around the lid to hold those coals on top. We're going to get this around 375 degrees, and we'll cook them for about 15 minutes is my guess. Sometimes they take a little longer. So like we said, we're going to have an omelet for these biscuits. Inside of the egg itself, we've got 4 eggs I'm going to mix up. I'm going to put some breakfast sausage that I've already cooked and some pre-cooked chunks of ham, along with some green chilies and some shredded CoJack cheese. And on top of that, we're going to have some fried bacon and another piece of cheese. Let's get started with the bacon. Well, waiting for my bacon to get done. So we're going to go ahead and pour the 4 eggs, which I have seasoned with salt and pepper, over the top of this meat. And we'll throw in some green chilies. And some CoJack cheese that we shredded. Well, the biscuits are done. Get them cut in half here. They are hotter than a pistol, which is good. All right, let's get some of our egg mix on here. Cheddar cheese on there. And some bacon. And as the British call this, rough and ready. It is not pretty, but I guarantee it's going to be good. Well, gang, I ate one of these biscuits and I am full. So these things will go a long way towards filling up your group. If I was going to change anything about these biscuits, first I would let the biscuit itself cool down a little bit before you put the ingredients inside of it. It'll be less crumbly that way. The biscuit recipe itself has really good flavor. It's a very light, fluffy biscuit. I would also probably chop the bacon and either include that in the egg mix or sprinkle that on top before I put the cheese, that piece of cheese on top, and melt that. The egg mix with the ham and breakfast sausage, the CoJack cheese, and green chilies, flavor-wise, was a home run. Really enjoyed it. A loaded stuffed breakfast biscuit. Enjoy it, and we'll see you next time.